Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to this week's Friday Reads, where I talk about everything I read in the last week, what I'm currently in the middle of, and what I think I'm going to be getting to next week. And I did actually finish a couple of books this week, starting with A Curious Beginning by Deanna Rayburn, the first book in the Veronica Speedwell series, which is an adult historical mystery series. And in this, we are following Veronica Speedwell, whose last guardian has just passed away, so she is all on her own and actually very excited about it. But things go wrong almost immediately. There's an attempted abduction. It's interrupted by this Baron, and this Baron reveals that, he knows more about Veronica's past than she does, and then is promptly murdered. So, and then the story goes from there. So, lots of things happening in this. And this is a really interesting book because I did ultimately like it. However, I think that this was overhyped for me. Everybody that I've talked about or talked to that has read this series really loves this series. And there were a lot of things that were like little criticisms that I had that just kind of prevented me from loving it as well. I can see the potential here. I just don't think it's amazing. So for example, the dialogue between our characters is a little bit stiff, a little bit wooden. I honestly thought that this was a debut novel. It was kind of how I explained it to somebody else. It's like, I thought this was a debut novel, and I was very surprised that it's not. Or even though I love our main characters, I don't always love how their dynamic plays out on page. So we have Veronica and Stoker, and they're great characters, but I don't always love how they interact. Or it's not as well written as I kind of want it to be. Or the action bits are really great. They're really fast paced. I really enjoy those things, but the in between is pretty slow at points and sometimes very repetitive. So then it was really hard to get through those parts, even though I knew that there would be more action later. Or there's some plot things going on in this that I really I couldn't quite believe. There's some things that you want to do with plot, but you kind of have to do it later in a series, either because it's a big reveal that you want to build up to, or you need the trust of your readers, or whatever, and we had one of those things, and so I just couldn't quite get on board. So all that being said, I still like it. I liked enough that I'm going to continue on with this series, even though this wasn't a complete hit for me. I can see why so many people like it. It just didn't come together for me. So I ended up giving it 3.75 stars. And then I read another book, and that is All Systems Red by Martha Wells. I don't know why I forgot that it's by Martha Wells, but I did. And I actually listened to the audiobook over the weekend because I actually got sick. I got sick over the weekend, and it was the kind of thing where I didn't really feel that bad, but then when I tried to do anything, I was reminded that I'm actually sick, and that was reading included. And so I thought, okay, well, I'll listen to an audiobook, and I'll have it be a reread so that if I miss something, it's not actually a big deal because I already know what happens, which is actually a really good idea because what I'm finding with audiobooks, I haven't read a ton. I haven't read a ton of audiobooks specifically, but I don't hold on to details when I'm listening to it. So I don't know that I could actually do anything other than a reread for audio, but anyway. So that's what I did. I listened to All Systems Red. It was delightful. It was only a 3-hour audiobook anyway. And I really do love Murderbot. For those of you that don't know, Murderbot is a construct that is a being that is part AI, part biological parts. So kind of it's more AI than it is human. It's not really human. It just has some biological organic components. But they are a security unit that is assigned to a group that has gone to a faraway planet, basically to do some exploring to see what's on the planet, and then things go very, very wrong. Murderbot has hacked what's called the governor module. That's the thing that tells it what to do. And they have to make the choice. Am I going to follow what the governor module says I should be doing and potentially let some of these humans die? Or do I just ignore what this governor module is saying and they find out that I'm rogue? And the story goes from there. And I love it. It's great. It still holds up. And audiobook was nice to listen to, even if I still don't remember any of the details. But that is I think I gave this 4 stars, 4.25 maybe, when I originally read it, and whatever that was, it's about right for this book. And that's it. That's all I read. So moving on to the things that I'm currently in the middle of. Honestly Elliot by Gillian McDunn, Voyage of the Basilisk by Marie Brennan. I have made 0 progress in either of these books, so we're just gonna move on. And then I am in the middle of 2 other books. And the first one is the audiobook of Artificial Condition by Martha Wells, which is the second Murderbot novella. I started listening to it as I was doing some cross-stitch work, which was really nice. So I'm planning to continue on with that. It's been really nice to listen to it and kind of hear different things. And yeah, I've been enjoying it. I think I'm like half an hour in or something to like maybe 3.5 hour audiobook. So not terribly far. And then I'm also picked up The Unkindest Tide by Shauna McGuire, which is the 13th book in the October Day series, which is an adult urban fantasy series where we're following our main character of October Day. And she is half fae, half human, and a knight in the fairy realms. And she is thrown at these oddball problems because she is best suited to solve them. And in this case, the very scary sea witch, who is a firstborn and has a lot of power, has come to Toby and said, it's time. There was a promise of sorts made to me. I made a promise to them as well, and now it is time to keep that promise. And the story goes from there. Yes, that is super vague because this is one of those books where like you don't actually know, like reading the premise, reading the description of this book will give away a lot from the beginning of the series. So it's a little bit difficult to talk about. If you think about the Sea Witch and that promise though, like, and you've read the series, you'll know what I'm talking about. I've read a whole chapter. I am on page 14. Basically, we just had our little picture perfect beginning. Toby said, like, everything is looking up, so we know that stuff is going down in the next chapter because this is how this works for this series. It is a reread. I really love these books. I know that this one in particular is one that I especially love, so I am very much looking forward to continuing on with it. And that's it. I am in the middle of 4 books, which is a lot for me, but I'm only actively working on like 2 of them. So for next week, I am going to prioritize The Unkindest Tide because my buddy is pretty far into this, if I remember correctly. And I'm probably at the same time going to be switching off chapters with Honestly Elliot by Gillian McDunn because I do need to read this because my spouse also needs to read this book. And so I need to be able to pass it off to them. I will be reading The Artificial Condition as I do some of my craft projects. This will probably be done by next week, no problem. And then after all of that, I will pick back up Voyage of the Basilisk because I do actually want to read this book. I do want to finish it. And then if I manage to have a week where I just read a lot and I need more, the ones that I'm looking at for after that, Square Cube by Mira Grant, which is a horror novella, and When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole, which I have heard is not so much a thriller, but is more of a horror, which sounds about right for this time of year. So that is it. If you have any thoughts or feelings about any of the books that I have mentioned in this video, please leave me a comment down below. But that is it. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to, and until next time, have happy reading, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!